want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Hey everybody! While 2020 has certainly been a crazy year, with most of the big tentpoles everyone was looking forward to being delayed into 2021, the year did see the release of a number of solid films, many of which came out on streaming, PVOD, and only the rare entry like Tenet actually having any big screen play after COVID-19 dominated headlines starting in March. Even still, the year's been decent enough that we can definitely muster a top 10 list, with many of the films on this list so good that even if the year were stacked front to back with blockbusters, they probably would have made the list. So let's get started with number 10, Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman. Unlike many films on this list, Guy Ritchie's film did have a conventional release. In fact, January and February were the last months of the year where movies could get conventional releases, and Ritchie's throwback to his earlier crime flicks, such as Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, was a notable return for the director, who's mostly directed big movies like Aladdin and the Sherlock Holmes franchise over the last year or so. Matthew McConaughey stars as a pot kingpin threatened by challengers to the throne, but as good as he is, it's the supporting actors in the ensemble, including Charlie Hunnam as his right-hand man, an unrecognizable Hugh Grant as a bottom-feeding tabloid reporter, and especially Colin Farrell as a local tough forced into debt, that make this a real winner. Ritchie's developing a TV series that hopefully will expand on the universe. Number 9 is another movie that came out theatrically, Lee Whannell's The Invisible Man, which co-starred Elizabeth Moss in this reimagining that moved the franchise into the digital realm, with the invisible baddie using a suit with nano cameras to murderously stalk his ex. Terribly creepy and well acted by Moss, this is a movie that reinvigorated Universal's classic Monsters franchise in a big way, leading to a whole slew of lower budget Blumhouse-produced horror movies on the horizon. Up next are a couple of movies I saw at Sundance, which gradually crept out as the year went on. First up was Possessor at number 8, which marked the arrival of Brandon Cronenberg as a top-tier auteur in a big way. Andrea Riseborough stars as an assassin who implants her personality into her victims, something which gets complicated when she's implanted into Christopher Abbott, whose personality and consciousness starts to creep in, making it hard for her to fulfill her contract. This is among the goriest films of the year, that's for sure, and it was so hardcore that the studio Neon had to release it unrated. In at number 7, Palm Springs, which sold to Hulu in the biggest acquisition in Sundance history. A spin on the Groundhog Day formula, Andy Samberg and Kristen Miliotti's winning charisma makes this a refreshing spin on the genre, and is also easily the year's best rom-com. J.K. Simmons has a great co-starring role as the antagonist, and there are some very impressive laugh-out-loud belly laughs in this Lonely Island production. Another film on the list coming in at number 6 is Synchronic, which I saw at TIFF way back in 2019. Feels like another lifetime ago. Anthony Mackie gives the performance of his life as a paramedic on the trail of a drug that allows its users to shift back in time. Jamie Dornan co-stars in this intriguing sci-fi drama from directors Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who've been the darlings of the genre indie community for some time now. In at number 5 is Netflix's Charlie Kaufman film, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, starring Jessie Buckley and Jesse Plemons. It's a wild ride that's certainly not for everyone, and it's impressive that Netflix is financing daring cinema such as this, with Buckley delivering one of 2 amazing performances she delivered this year, along with FX's 4th season of Fargo, and if you like her in both of those, I definitely recommend going back and checking out a film she did called Wild Rose a couple of years ago. Number 4 on the list is another daring Netflix production, David Fincher's Mank, which is all about Herman Mankiewicz, the screenwriter who co-wrote Citizen Kane, and it stars Gary Oldman. Now, it should be said, this isn't for everyone. You really need to have at least seen Orson Welles' Citizen Kane, and it can't be denied, though, that this is some bravura filmmaking, with beautiful black and white photography and some really cool sound design done in mono that makes the whole movie sound like you're watching it in a movie theater in 1940. Number 3 is Christopher Nolan's very controversial Tenet. Now, it's my opinion that this movie did not get a fair shake from critics. Many seem to be reviewing Nolan and Warner Brothers' plan to release it theatrically rather than the film itself, but I maintain that in any other year, people would have been a lot more willing to go along with Nolan on this admittedly confusing spy action flick. John David Washington does his dad proud in a great action hero turn, while Elizabeth Debicki and Robert Pattinson steal scenes in key co-starring roles. The Ludwig Göransson score is also one of the best of the year. Hopefully now that the movie's out in 4K, people will give it a second chance. In at number 2 is a movie that actually hasn't come out yet, but still counts as a 2020 film, Nomadland, starring Frances McDormand as an itinerant worker living amongst a van-dwelling aging populace trying to scrape by in the modern American West. Bittersweet and done in quasi-documentary style by Chloe Zhao, who's directing Marvel's Eternals, this is a towering achievement, with Frances McDormand's naturalistic acting among her finest performances ever. And finally at number 1 is Darius Marder's Sound of Metal, starring Rice Ahmed as a drummer gone deaf, who tries to adjust to his new reality while also holding a tenuous grasp on his sobriety. Olivia Cook co-stars along with Paul Rassi, who steals scenes as the head of the deaf community of recovering addicts Ahmed's character joins. Ahmed delivers the performance of the year in this virtual masterpiece that you can find right now on Amazon Prime. The sound design is amazing, but for an even more immersive experience, here's a tip: try watching it with headphones. Now, of course, those weren't the only good movies that came out this year, with honorable mentions going to Bad Boys for Life, which is arguably the best film of the franchise, Promising Young Woman starring Carey Mulligan, which is due out this Christmas, King of Staten Island, which was Judd Apatow's Pete Davidson's star vehicle, which I thought was excellent, Borat 2, which of course isn't quite as funny as the first film, but did have some good belly laughs, and well, we all needed a laugh this year, and then finally News of the World starring Tom Hanks and directed by Paul Greengrass in a style that's completely different than what we expect. Well, 2020 has been a dramatic year for us all. Hopefully 2021 has better things in store for all of us, but definitely has some much bigger films on the horizon. From all of us here at JOBLO.com, all the best for 2021. And remember, if you like what you see, please subscribe to the JOBLO Videos channel. Tell your friends who like this sort of content and turn on the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest videos. We're an independent company and we appreciate all of your support.